Hello everyone, I welcome you to this podcast of Unlocking the Officer Within You. And today we have with us a special guest, a student of ours who had taken a skill mentorship program, and she's from an economics background and having secured 99th rank in her third attempt. Today we have with us Tejaswini on our particular podcast. And what we wish to actually unlock in this particular podcast is to basically go to the nuances of the preparation by being raw and real about each stage of the journey, so that our students are completely be aware about what does it take to go through all the stages.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
So in this regard, Tejaswini, just a quick introduction to our audience.
Thank you so much, sir, for the introduction. My name is Tejaswini Deshpande. This was my third attempt at the civil services exam, and I have pursued my economics honours from Lady Shri Ram College, New Delhi. Post that, I decided to pursue the civil services. I have been a basketball player, and yes, sir.
Wonderful.
Yes,
Great. So just how we were having a conversation outside, to continue that particular conversation, Tejaswini.
Yes.
So as you started this journey, as we are aware, the
Yes,
first two attempts did not go through, correct?
Yes,
However, in the third attempt, you hit a 6 in all the stages and you're in the services now,
Yes.
right? So when you started the journey, what were the roadblocks that you actually faced in the journey?
So I think if I were to answer in one word, it was my attitude.
Mm-hmm.
In the first attempt, I had a casual attitude towards CSAT, which is why I couldn't clear the prelims examination that year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the second attempt, it was an attitude of self-doubt, where I think I was just coming from a deficit perspective rather than coming from a perspective that, okay, whatever I've done and learned over the past few years is enough. So I think that really affected my performance in the second prelims examination.
Okay.
Because I missed the cutoff by less than a mark. And then eventually in the third attempt, I think the attitude and mindset was positive, and I was much more integrated for this attempt. And luckily, and with God's grace and with everyone's support,
That's
things
wonderful.
worked out.
Just to go a little deeper on what you mentioned as a deficit mindset.
Yes, sir.
See, in this particular exam, Tejaswini, as a student, generally, they always feel that it's not enough.
Yes, sir.
So in this context, what do you address to a student who is always feeling anxious that they have not done enough? So what is your take on that? How did you go from that scarcity mindset or a deficit mindset to being able to feel sufficient enough that I'm good enough to write this exam now?
Yes, sir. So I think firstly accepting that yes, there is always going to be scope of improvement. That doesn't mean that, oh, we are not good enough. Understanding this difference is very important. And I think to do this, having an accurate feedback system is essential. And that was available to me through my mentors. It was available through my family. It was available through my peers as well. So everybody contributed to provide feedback at different stages of the examination, right from prelims to the personality test. And so I think that is what really helped me to understand that, okay, whether I'm going in the right direction, whether there are certain things that need to be addressed. It can be with respect to your personality, or it can also be with respect to the way you are studying for the exam. So I think that is crucial.
Absolutely. Students, a very good point has been pointed out by Tejaswini here, that this journey as you go, it's a very unknown pathway that you're taking. But a constant feedback from the mentors is actually what will validate you whether doing it right or not, rather than you contemplating about yourself whether you're doing it right or not. See, generally, why do you have a coach? The coach is not because the coach is better than the player.
Yes,
the coach is always there is to give a perspective on a longer term view, because he's not in the game. He's outside the game. And when a player is playing the game, they're always very attached with the result. Whereas a person as a coach who's outside the game is not attached with the result, rather more strategic on a long term. So that is the role of a coach, to help you. Very good, Tejaswini. Thank you so much for that specific aspect. So now, when we start the journey, Tejaswini, first of all, we can divide this journey into two phases: knowledge phase and the skill phase.
Yes, sir.
But when it comes to the knowledge phase, if you see the notification, the UPSC notification says all questions can be answered by a well-educated person. But they don't define what is a well-educated person, correct? You're an economics graduate. Can I consider that as a well-educated person? And you know, the irony is the books are not defined. The syllabus is not defined. The question paper is not defined. So Tejaswini, in your opinion, what is knowledge according to you?
So I think, like you rightly pointed out, the beauty of this examination is that though there is a syllabus, though there is a notification, everything just seems undefined. And it seems as if everything under the sun can be asked. But I think with respect to knowledge, we cannot correlate it directly with somebody's education level. Knowledge can be of different formats. Like it can be with respect to a subject, it can be with respect to our surrounding, it can be with respect to our own self-knowledge. And I think understanding this is very important for this exam, because at different stages, you need different forms of knowledge. For example, having self-knowledge is going to help you a lot in the personality test. Being aware about things that you know and being aware about your strengths, weaknesses, that is really going to benefit in the personality test. And likewise, when it is about prelims and mains, the knowledge component is there, and it is a significant percentage. But knowledge alone is not going to help you clear this exam, is what I personally feel. Yes, we have to study our basic books, we have to study the advanced books, but applying them is also equally important.
So when you said you were self-aware, you have to be self-aware. Was it something that was taught to you as a part of your school and graduation, or something that you picked up over the preparation?
So I think it has happened over the preparation. And my family, their role has been immense in this. Without them, I don't think I would have had this perspective and this mindset in life. So they have always ensured that, identify your strengths, identify your weaknesses. Not as like you make a pro-cons list or something, but just assessing yourself and getting feedback from yourself on a daily basis. What is it that you did new today? What is it that you could do differently tomorrow? I think things like that. And these eventually build your personality. So even if I know that civil services is a goal for many and it is an aspiration for many. So having this kind of perspective can really just shift your preparation, and it can shift gears. And I think that is what happened to me, at least in this attempt. So my family is whom I'd like to thank. Yes,
very glad about it. So students, just to reframe what Tejasvi mentioned here, it's always that you feel inadequate, that you don't know many things. But what is important in this particular exam is operating from a space of being aware about what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and how to strategize as per your strengths.
Yes,
that is something that we looked into. So let's go a little deeper, Tejasvi, and try to understand. Generally, when we are talking about knowledge phase, we define that in 3 steps. Now, you try to reflect on these 3 steps and you tell me how you went about. The first step is making notes on the subjects that are there in the exam. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to note making, a lot of students are lost.
Yes,
They're
sir.
always in the zone of searching more material and going forward.
Yes,
so could you please throw light upon what you can also reflect upon your mistakes that you did in the first attempt and what corrected in the third attempt that made you crack through when it comes to your note making consolidation?
Yes,
can you
sir.
elaborate upon that?
Yes, sir. I think with respect to this aspect of knowledge, note making, and with respect to resources, it's crucial to remember that less is more in this exam at all the stages. With respect to prelims, my note-making process changed in the third attempt, that I had an error notebook. I did not have this in my first 2 prelims. I mean, I solved a lot of mock tests. Quantitatively, I was there, but I think qualitatively, I didn't work towards improving my mistakes or my gaps in the first 2 prelims. And which is why the self-doubt set in, because I was making the same mistake again and again in my second attempt while giving mocks. And after looking at the 2023 prelims paper, then it was just, everything just vanished from the head.
It was a shocker for many. Yeah.
Exactly, so. So I think for prelims exam, I had an error notebook this time. That really helped. And with respect to mains, though it was my first mains, so it was a very simple strategy, that have one note, like one A4 size sheet for every topic that is mentioned in the syllabus. And then eventually for the personality test, it was notes about my detailed application form. So notes have been, they have been an indispensable part of the preparation, but just the quality of note making has improved, I think, with respect to prelims. That is what I can say.
So what you're trying to say is, through the error notebook, you were trying to update the content back into your notes to update your notes.
Yes, sir. So I never made notes of the bulky books. So like maybe polity resources like Lakshmikant or Spectrum for modern history or any other books, maybe NCRT geographies or history. I didn't make notes for them. I had an error notebook and I used to test, revise the resource, test again, and then go to the error notebook and see if, okay, I've made the same mistake again. If yes, it needed more revision. If not, there is an improvement. So that was the process for prelims.
Students, just to elaborate upon her words, note making is not a final thing that can ever end. It's a constant evolution of how you build upon your notes. So as you start preparing something, as Tejasvi rightly mentioned, looking into the resources and testing it through the questions and updating back the notes is the key to note building. And note building is a process which is evolving throughout your preparation journey.
Yes,
right? Very good point. Now here, Tejasvi, I want to help you understand one more aspect of it. In this exam, I generally call this exam a game than an exam. Because when you think of an exam, you think of how many books to read, how many hours to study. But as you think of a game, you think of who is my opponent and how to defeat them. Here in this case, it's the examiner who is trying to defeat you through his questions, and you need to work around that.
Yes, sir.
And the best way to know that is previous year questions.
Definitely.
Correct. As we always recommend it, in your case also the previous year questions. So how did you make use of the previous year questions? And now in the third attempt, when it comes to all the prelims and your mains, how did you work with the previous year questions to actually update this content of knowledge? Can you elaborate upon?
Yes, sir. So I think the previous year questions are a goldmine when it comes to the civil services exam. With respect to prelims, they offer a very accurate direction as to what kind of questions can we expect. Because often we have seen that themes are repeated from the options that are mentioned in, say, last year's paper or before that. We also see that sometimes verbatim certain questions get repeated. So I think previous year questions, solving them, understanding them, and then just going one step further by looking at the options and what are the kind of topics that are being touched in the exam. That can create the differentiating factor for us in the prelims exam. Because often what happens is we get stuck between two options. I think that is one of the most common problems that aspirants face. I have also faced that many times.
Okay.
But it is here where the PYQ insights can help us go forward and move towards the right answer most often than not.
Could you elaborate a little deeper on that? When you got stuck with the two options,
yes, sir.
How did you tackle? What was the mindset behind that? How did you take a stand?
Yes, sir. So I think when I used to solve the paper in the first round, there was always a gut feeling that, oh, okay, this is going to be the right answer. And most often than not, that was right in most questions. So identifying that was the first step. And eliminating any kind of self-doubt. And second, accepting that, yes, some questions from this category where two options are left, they are going to go wrong. Just accepting that, okay, not all of them, not all the 30, 35 questions are going to be right. It's okay, 15 are going to go wrong, but the other 25 will be right. Accepting this, we want to be they have to be accurate for more than 50%.
Yes.
Having that probability really helps, and that mindset will really help.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we don't have to get all of them right.
Very good. A good point has been mentioned by Tejasvi here. Students, I want all of you to understand that unlike your school and college exams, it's not like you read a textbook and all the questions came from the same textbook. It can never happen that way.
Sir.
Wherein my understanding, Tejasvi, is that, you correct me if I'm wrong, is 25 to 30 questions is what you will know with certainty in prelims.
Yes,
whereas the balance, you actually need to take a call with your gut feeling to basically attempt the questions to meet the cutoff. Correct?
Definitely, sir. And I think this second part, which is the instinct rather, or the first thought that comes in our head when we look at a question, this is built when we practice a lot, when we go back to these questions, these PYQs. So it's not instinct alone. I think it is a lot of practice and a lot of just understanding the patterns of the exam.
Yes.
And then applying the knowledge which is there. Because you never know what can help us. It can be something that we see in our surroundings, something that we have heard probably 5 years ago.
True.
We're just applying all the knowledge that we have and applying it in that moment. I think that is what we need to practice towards, rather than gaining more knowledge.
Exactly. Let me dissect what Tejasvi mentioned here in a more clearer way. students, you need to understand that when it comes to knowledge here, as Tejasvi rightly mentioned, there's a gold mine in the previous year question. So when I say knowledge does not mean reading everything and anything, rather reading the knowledge that UPSC is expecting you to gain. And the best resource for that is the previous year questions, and learning from the options is the key. So the point I like to emphasize here is, more than testing yourself with the questions, can you learn through the questions and update your notes to build your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
Right. Thank you so much, Tejasvi, on that. Very good. And here one more point is that when it comes to knowledge base in this exam, which no school and college really teaches you. So I generally say this, Tejasvi, UPSC is not difficult, it is different. If you don't get the difference, it becomes really difficult, right?
Yes, sir.
The difference here is the entire syllabus of UPSC revolves around current affairs.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes to current affairs, there's a fundamental challenge a student faces, right? One is the concepts. Second is the current affair.
Yes,
They're
sir.
trying to juggle them out and they get lost.
Yes, sir.
So how did you actually consolidate your notes with concepts and current affair that you could effectively use when it comes to your answer writing, or when it even comes to the interview?
Yes,
Could
sir.
you reflect and elaborate to the audience? How exactly
Yes,
did
sir.
you do that?
Yes. So like you rightly mentioned, every topic in the syllabus has a static component and a current component. So even if you look at subjects, there is a static and a current. Even history has a current component because of the issues that are in news at present, or because of the discussions that are happening around, say, certain sites. Or so there is a current component to every subject and every topic that is mentioned in the syllabus. I think first is understanding that. Second is that static is the base, it is the foundation, and those concepts are crucial. I think without it, trying to understand the current is like skipping 3-4 steps. So maybe some can understand it that way, but I think understanding your static is the second step. And then finally, third step is integrating the static with the current affairs knowledge. I followed the Hindu newspaper. I used to read it. And eventually then, as mains and interview, as I gave the mains exam and the personality test, I added more newspapers to it because of my optional, which was a current-based optional. So note making for current was not something that I did because it became really difficult to manage the notes, and I'm a person who is most comfortable with pen and paper. I did have digital notes for a while for prelims, but just revising them became difficult. So what I did was learn through questions, like you mentioned. I used to solve current affairs quizzes, which are available. So that is how I covered monthly current affairs. I did not go back to revising notes or revising any magazines. I used to read the newspaper on a daily basis. And along with that, when it came to revising current affairs for the prelims exam, that happened through the quizzes.
Wonderful.
And that really helped me because it also improved the skill for solving current affairs, and it also helped in retaining facts more efficiently.
That's a wonderful point mentioned by Tejasvi here. So here, when it comes to current affair, you might read a current affair, but actual question angle of it you might not know as you're a beginner. As Tejasvi rightly mentioned, a very good point, the best way to cover current affair is actually solve the questions around it so that you're actually covering the current affair and also building the skills around it.
Yes, sir.
It's a wonderful point, Tejasvi. So to break it down, when it comes to the knowledge phase students, it is about one, making your notes. Second, about working on the angle of previous year questions to update the notes, and looking everything in the context of the current affair to build the limited knowledge that is needed for that particular. So Tejasvi, as I generally mention, UPSC is 30% knowledge, 70% skills. Okay, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, and you cracked it, I think, in the third attempt now,
Yes, sir.
with the skills that you built around it. So, can we go deeper and try to understand this? So, when it comes to prelims, so what is the specific skills that you feel that you developed over a period that helped you crack your prelims effectively in your third attempt? What was that skill that you could reflect upon that you feel you missed out in the first and the second attempt? It can be the skill around conceptual. It can be the skill that can be in the psychological and emotional dimension.
Yes,
also.
sir.
Yes. Can you
So
please
I
elaborate
think
upon?
prelims, as I've mentioned earlier, it's all about your mindset. So having that, just being sure of yourself when you're marking an answer. You can never be 100% sure, but having the courage to take that decision in that moment that, okay, I'll mark B and not D. And having a reasoned view over it, a reasoned analysis of that topic. That is something which really improved in this attempt. And with respect to skills, I think just having a higher reading speed, a higher processing speed, that will help, because it will help us in doing more iterations in the examination. So improving on these basic skills, and also ensuring that, okay, we're having a good mindset in the exam. I think temperament is the most important when it comes to the prelims exam.
Got it. So to elaborate upon Tejaswi's thing, number one, it's about being calm. And the temperament is really important, so that you're open to see the things that are right in front of you, followed by your reading skills, your comprehending skills, and most importantly, as Tejaswi mentioned, it is the skill of taking a decision. Tejaswi, I generally mention, you just don't become an officer after you clear the exam. Rather, when you build the officer qualities in you, you automatically clear the exam. And as Tejaswi rightly reiterated that statement, when you build the quality of the decision making, when you build the quality of taking the right risk, a calculated risk and a reasoned risk to meet the cutoff, that's when you're in the prelims.
Yes, sir.
It's a wonderful point that's been identified by you. So here in this context, you mentioned to me over our conversation outside this podcast that the first attempt came as a shocker for you when you saw that CSAT was something that you missed.
Yes, sir.
And could you please elaborate upon that, as to how this intellectual ego played around there?
So in my first attempt, I was very confident that, okay, I think I can clear this prelims, at least the prelims exam. And I had practiced a lot for paper 1, but that kind of seriousness was missing with respect to CSAT. So my attitude was a little casual. I took CSAT for granted. And it ended up, I ended up not clearing the CSAT exam and therefore not clearing the prelims exam. So I think just from the first go itself, when we decide to prepare for the civil services exam, having a very humble attitude and having this idea that, okay, we are here to learn and we are here to learn everything. That is very, very important. So if I would have given more CSAT tests, maybe I could have cleared CSAT in that attempt.
So was it like you had a fear of CSAT, or you just overlooked CSAT?
I think I overlooked CSAT in comparison to the general studies preparation. Instead of giving 5 tests, I could have given 10, 15, 20. The time and effort that I invested in general studies was very high as compared to what I did in CSAT. I started studying CSAT only in the last 2 months of the preparation. But it took me a while to get there, and I think it had been a while since I solved math questions. And even comprehension, some comprehension questions also were tougher, on the tougher side. So just practicing for CSAT will really help any aspirant, I think.
So we have a lot of students who keep on asking me, sir, I'm very anxious about CSAT. What do I do? I've practiced well, I'm still very anxious. So what is your reply for that? If a student comes and asks you this, how do you think we can tackle that anxiety and come out of it?
So I think
you face that scenario?
It was not as much anxiety. I think practice and just covering CSAT thoroughly will help us, overcome that anxiety. Of course, when there is something that we haven't covered, like a topic in CSAT, it can be permutations and combinations, or it can be the number system. These are some basic topics which are asked in the CSAT exam. Leaving them or overlooking them is not, it's not going to be helpful in the exam. And often what happens is things that we haven't done, these are the things which play on our mind a lot instead of things or subjects or topics that we have covered. So I think when someone is in an anxious situation with respect to CSAT, just understanding that, okay, I have covered reading comprehension, or I'm good at it, or logical reasoning is something that is my strength, or within the quant space, permutations and combination can be a strength, or number system can be a strength. So just identifying your strengths and weaknesses there, and minimizing weakness and maximizing strength can really help us overcome anxiety.
It's a wonderful point again mentioned by Tejaswi, your students. So here, first thing is about being present and letting go of your intellectual ego, that I know things, no matter what background you come from, because that really shadows the whole thing in the exam, followed by playing with your strengths. CSAT has several chapters. You need not know all the chapters. You need to know specific chapters to be able to meet the cutoff. Can you focus on the area of strategy and to move forward? Very good. Thank you, Tejasvi, for the same. So here, Tejasvi, you greatly got benefited through our prelims mentorship. Could you please dissect and tell what aspects of a mentorship actually helped you from our side in your preparation?
So I think the one-on-one mentorship which was available, that really helped me as it just gave a personal outlook with respect to my preparation and with respect to subjects. It helped me understand my performance better in the past, during the prelims preparation. So I think that is one of the major benefits that I got.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Why do you recommend the students to have a mentor in this journey, in your opinion?
Yes, sir.
Tejasvi?
So I think having a mentor is important because that aspect is going to help you get feedback. It's going to be a continuous mode of feedback over the course of 1 year. The exam is going to last for a year. So just having someone who has seen your journey from where, say, you were, getting 50 questions wrong in prelims, and now you're getting 20 questions wrong in prelims, or like just having someone who's seen that improvement and who has been a part of it. I think that they can truly judge you, or they can truly understand your perspective and help you improve. But I think also we need to understand what to take and what not to take from all aspects. So trusting anyone blindly is a strategy for failure, I think.
Absolutely.
Have discretion and be a little more mindful of everything. And I think the UPSC syllabus, the notification, the PYQs, these are the biggest guiding lights for this exam, along with mentorship and everything else. So always keeping them in front of us, the syllabus, notification and PYQs can really help an aspirant, I think.
That's wonderful. Just to elaborate upon that, students, I generally tell that we teachers are like tools. So we can provide you the pathway. We can facilitate your pathway, but it's you who goes in the pathway. And as Tejasvi rightly mentioned, the guiding light can be known through the syllabus and the previous year questions. But as tools, we can facilitate in deciphering this faster and compressing the time it takes for you to reach the required skill set to achieve your goal. That's the whole idea we are looking at here. The idea is about time compression, because the time is limited for you to achieve the success. You have two pathways, one you figuring out things or taking the help to move forward.
Yes, sir.
That's perfect. Wonderful, Tejasvi. And one more thing, right now we have another 30 days to go for the prelims to come up. So Tejasvi, could you please elaborate, if you could reflect back your mindset in your third attempt?
Yes, sir.
What did you do in these last 30 days to prime your mind to be able to give your best for prelims? What do you recommend for that?
Yes, sir. So I think now in the last 4 weeks of the exam, most important thing is to have confidence, and it is to be calm and composed. Whatever we have read up till now is enough. Understanding this is the first thing. Secondly, revising everything that we have read up till now. And that is, I think, another aspect. And finally, third, maybe solving full-length exams if someone has not solved them yet, or just practicing for the MCQ-based pattern is something which really helps us in the last few days. I think in the last 10 days, one should just focus on prioritizing PYQs and the static knowledge, because these two things will really help us sail through prelims. So temperament, static knowledge, PYQs.
Wonderful.
Yes,
I like to clear a small distinction here. Unlike an aptitude exam, students, it's not about just more practice that is needed. Here it is also more about a revision of the content that you have done.
Yes,
and because what really helps here, as we had discussion just a while back, was the peripheral knowledge that will help you eliminate the options to come to the right answer.
Sir.
So don't just focus on solving more questions without the revision. Rather, the last 30 days, as Tejasvi mentioned, is the time to consolidate, to recall and revise, so that the memory of your mind is there to recall at the right time during the exam.
Yes,
wonderful. Sir. And one more thing that the students generally ask me, Tejasvi, is, sir, what is that perfect number to attempt so that we meet the cutoff? What is your take on that?
I think the perfect number differs from person to person. It varies for all of us. In my case, in the first attempt, I attempted around 82 questions. In the second one, it was 75. And then finally, in the third attempt, it was 87. And after giving numerous mock tests, I found out that my optimal number lies between 83 to 87.
Wonderful.
That is the optimal number for me. Anything above 87 or touching 90, it goes in the negative. And anything below 82 is again a negative. So finding an optimal number, that can be done through mock tests, solving mock tests. And that will really help someone to find their optimal number. And it varies for all. Some people do better with 90 plus attempts and some maybe do better even with 75 attempts.
So if you could recall your memory back to the third attempt of your prelims, when you saw the paper, so when it comes to gauging your thing, will you go with solving all the questions in the first round and then gauge the number, or how do you do that? What is the process with which you gauge the difficulty of the papers?
I think on the D-Day and the time at the time of the prelims exam, the first thing that I did was flip through the paper. That's one. It took 2 minutes and flipped through the entire paper. And I think doing that really helps because it gives you the whole picture rather than just one page or 2 pages of prelims. And then second, I used to follow a 3 iteration strategy. I had practiced it a lot. So I was able to cover it within the 2 hours that we have. So in the first attempt, in the first iteration, I used to cover all the questions that I knew for sure. I knew the answer. These were never more than 25, and honestly speaking, 27 at the max.
That's it.
So even in mock tests, it was sometimes 30, but never above that. And the second iteration was for questions where I have eliminated 2 options and 2 are remaining. And then the third iteration was for options where I have eliminated only 1 option and 3 are remaining.
So the third, a logical guess.
Yes, so logical guess. So I just, whenever I thought that, oh, okay, I need to push a little bit, or I'm not sure of the accuracy rate in the second attempt, in the second iteration, I tried to take another third attempt, third iteration, so that I could just boost the score a little bit. So that was the strategy. Yes, sir.
So students, I hope you got your answer. There is no perfect number as such. It's the number that is aligned to you. So when you see the paper, as Tejaswi rightly mentioned, gauge the difficulty of the paper by skimming through the pages, knowing the content of what you know, and then take a decision of how much you need to attempt to meet the cutoff. Wonderful point, Tejaswi. Thank you so much for that. So now that the prelims is very clear, now coming to the mains, right? So when it comes to mains, what's really important as a skill is being able to express creatively as answers in the exam with multi-dimension approach, correct?
Sir.
So how did you take about with that practice to being able to present an answer in an effective way? Can you elaborate upon that?
Yes, sir. So I think the most rewarding factor in the mains exam is having originality, because an invigilator will see numerous copies in one day. So how do we get that extra mark? It is having that originality which will really benefit any aspirant to write better and to write clearly and efficiently. With respect to my writing style, I used to write in paragraph formats earlier, but after preparing for the civil services, I realized that point format is the best because it is precise, it is clear, and it hits the point. So I used to follow a point-wise format. In most questions, sometimes I resorted to a paragraph just to bring that originality in and just to, create a differentiating factor. And with respect to creating interlinkages between papers or between subjects, I think this is something that one can learn with sufficient practice and with sufficient wide reading. For mains, what is important is that you have one topic, cover it from a multi-dimensional perspective. If you have an intro, have 3 types of introductions. It can be a data point, it can be a quote, or it can also be something as simple as a definition. So if we have these 2 to 3, have a multiple, like instead of having just 1 data point, have 2-3 data points which are related to the topic.
You mean for the same theme, you were having 2-3 data points?
Yes, sir. I used to have an option. So if it was with respect to women issues, I had a data point which is universal. It can be about the gender gap index. Or I also had sometimes a quote just to change it up a bit. Or sometimes the quote can be used as a conclusion. So that was the mindset behind it. Not all themes, but some themes which are very common, I think. There I had 2 introductions which could be utilized then. And then with respect to the body part of the answer. Using frameworks really helped. For example, in history, if there's a question on any dynasty, having an approach of society and then economics and then religion and then polity within that dynasty, having this approach that can help you formulate the answer in a much more clear manner, I think, which is easier for any invigilator. Likewise for other subjects.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the framework is something, students, that you all need to look at. A template, the framework,
Yes,
to
sir.
be able to write faster and go faster.
Yes, sir.
And one more thing, Tejaswini, you need to write around 3,000 words approximately per paper in 3
Yes,
hours.
sir.
So how did you keep up to that when it comes to writing at that speed and covering up all the questions? Were you
Yes,
firstly
sir.
able to cover up all the questions in your mains?
Yes, I could cover up most questions. There were 2 10 markers that were left in my optional subject, and there I only drew graphs and couldn't write a lot. But more or less, I could manage all the other papers.
Very good.
And I think this comes only with practice. The first time I wrote a full-length exam right after prelims, I couldn't complete the paper.
Very true.
Almost 3 to 4 questions were remaining. So it will come with practice. Writing speed will improve with practice. So just keep at it and keep practicing. So that will really help in paper coverage.
That's good.
Yes,
See, now
sir.
this attempt you cleared. Now let's go back to the first and the second attempt,
Yes,
where
sir.
many students are at that particular phase,
Yes,
where they're
sir.
stuck in getting through in this exam. Now, when you could not get through prelims, a general mistake the student does is they don't go with the cycle and they'll wait for the next prelims to happen. So in that phase, Tejasvi, what did you do when you could not clear a prelims? What did you do in the next months during the attempt when you could not make it?
So I think the 2 months right after the result are always the most difficult because existential questions start coming up
Yes.
as to what is this exam and are we ever going to be able to clear it. This is what happened to me. But I was clear that I want to give another attempt at the exam. This especially happened to me after my second attempt, not so much as after my first attempt. But after the second attempt at prelims, I had to have a conversation with myself that are we really ready for this? And do I want to give another exam? So I think one is having that conversation with yourself that if we are in it, we need to truly trust the process and be all in is what I feel. And secondly, this was my first mains and first personality test.
Yes.
So over the past 3-4 years, I was working on the mains aspect of the examination. I was working on answer writing, though it was not as intensive as what it was in 2023, but 2021 and 2022. I was still reading the newspaper. I was trying to make notes, though they weren't the final notes that I used in the mains exam, but just learning by doing. I think that is something that I was doing continuously over the past 4 years.
It's a very important thing. What Tejasvi pointed out here, I just want to elaborate, students, is that UPSC is a cycle. And if you stop the cycle, you end up where you are. So even when the prelims does not go or the mains does not go, being in the cycle is the key for you to have a propelled approach in the upcoming attempt. So as Tejasvi rightly mentioned, she was continuing with her mains answer writing and the mains thought process around it. And that is the way she was able to propel forward.
Yes, sir.
And there, Tejasvi, could you elaborate a little bit? Were you using the previous year questions when it comes to your mains practice, or how were you doing that?
Yes, sir. I think the previous year questions became my guiding light to create notes on that topic. So I used to take 5 minutes to brainstorm and think, okay, I can write this answer, PYQ in this format or in this format. But for every topic, the syllabus, which is mentioned, for example, in agriculture, where you have a minimum support price. So minimum support price, having a basic skeleton on it, any material which is there in NCRTs or in economics textbooks, having that basic, and then going back to the PYQs and seeing what aspect of MSP is being touched on. I think that really helped because that helped me enhance my notes further.
Excellent.
So first step was Googling the syllabus myself and understanding what current issues are going on or what static skeleton can I create for this. Just a basic skeleton. And then going to the PYQs of the subject helped me improve these notes, enhance them. So that was the second step, which was, I think, crucial.
Excellent point mentioned here. Students, just to elaborate upon what Tejasvi mentioned here, the previous year questions will give you the dimension on how the topic is being asked. So as we just spoke a while back, your goal is to understand the UPSC examiner and build your knowledge according to what his expectations are. And the best way is knowing the dimension through previous year questions.
Yes, sir.
It's wonderfully done that, Tejas. And now that the mains is done, when it came to the interview, right? Now, that was, the third attempt, all the 3 stages you crossed. That is prelims and mains you finished, and now you entered the interview part of it.
Sir.
So how was your whole experience there? Could you please share a little light upon that? How did you
sir.
work around that interview? How did you think we helped you in this process also?
Yes, sir. I think personality test was one of the best parts of the examination.
Mm-hmm.
It helped me know myself and know the surroundings better. It helped me reflect on the 25 years of life or 24 years of life that I've had.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think personality starts building right from day one. And everyone you have interacted with up till that stage contributes to your personality in some form or the other. It sent me in an introspection and a reflective state. And that was something that was different about the personality test as compared to the other 2 stages of the exam. And I think I really enjoyed that.
That's wonderful.
Going over maybe your achievements and just going over your personality as a whole, I think. That is
and you mentioned over our conversation earlier that you said no to many of the questions that you didn't know.
I said yes,
right?
Sir.
Also,
I said I didn't know.
You didn't know
I
also.
didn't know, yes.
But students, just to highlight, Tejaswi got 200 marks, one of the highest in the country regarding interview. So when you said no in the board, okay. So what was their response like, and what was your inner reaction like when you had to tell a no? And what does it take in an interview, according to you, Tejaswi, for that made you get a top mark, if you could reflect back?
I think in this entire examination, integrity is crucial. So having the courage to say I don't know, I think that comes from having integrity in yourself and in your learnings and everything and in the process. So I had practiced, so I gave a lot of mock interviews, and there also I had to say I don't know at many stages. Initially it was difficult.
Yes.
It was very difficult because I thought, oh no, this is going to get me less marks, or that, not marks also, but just accepting that, oh, I don't know, and accepting that in front of 5 revered people is very difficult sometimes. But being true to yourself, having integrity, I think that is what is crucial. And UPSC has also mentioned qualities in the syllabus, in the notification. So I think sticking to those will really be helpful.
Very good, Tejaswi. And just to, I would like to create a small distinction here. Students, as we generally say, is prelims, mains, interview is the format of the preparation, but your thought process should always be reverse. It's interview, mains, and prelims. Why are you doing this exam? Followed by what is your opinion on anything that you're reading? And that will build the content for your mains and also for your prelims.
Yes, sir.
Right? So in this regard, very good, Tejaswi. Congratulations that you got 200. I'm really happy about that.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And in this whole process, Tejaswi, if you like to go deeper, what is behind the academics is more about an emotional management.
Yes,
correct?
Sir.
A lot of students come and ask me, when we ran the Google form for your questions, and as you also saw, they were speaking about how to control their frustration, anger, uncertainty, anxiety, even an identity crisis.
Yes,
so
sir.
when all these kind of things you also experienced in the last 2 attempts, so what kind of a thought process went in you, and how did that help you come out of it? Or was it there throughout your journey, or in spite of that you took action? What happened there? Can you elaborate upon it?
Yes, sir. So I think these feelings are very common in this civil services preparation, no matter which attempt you are at. And I think my family was the greatest support during these times, especially during these times. Because whenever I was feeling low, I was feeling that I'm not good enough after the prelims exam, the family was really the protective factor, and they really just ensured that they were there. They didn't say anything that, oh no, you're good enough, or that, oh no, you aren't. Just that listening mode was there and it was available to me. And I think that really, really helped me vent out all emotions and then look at the picture more clearly and in a more rational format. So the role of my family is essential because they've supported me in this journey a lot. And I think secondly also, when we feel such feelings, it's important to understand that who we are outside the UPSC journey. It's important
Yes.
to have friends outside UPSC, important to do things outside from this examination. So that is something also which was available to me. Most of my friends, school friends or college friends, they're not in this domain, or they're not in this world of UPSC or the civil services exam. They are doing something else in life. And I think interacting with people from different backgrounds, that really helps a lot.
Absolutely.
And just pursue your hobbies, pursue what you like doing. So I used to play basketball. I used to go and jog whenever I felt low. So that, again, that really helps. So family and moving outside the UPSC world and pursuing your hobbies, all these things.
Very important point identified here. Students, the real challenge in this exam beyond the UPSC is the emotional management. So here, as Tejaswi rightly mentioned, be in conversation with people.
Yes.
Be open to what's happening within you and get to reflect upon things and be with the people who are positive for you. And that's the most important thing, to be in the journey. And as I always highlight, Tejasvi, is, in a casual way, I always tell the students that UPSC is a habit. Just like when you're learning a guitar, on the day one only, you just don't play guitar like a pro. You start holding a guitar and start learning the chords, correct?
Yes,
Similarly, in UPSC preparation, it's getting exposed to the skills that are needed.
Yes, sir.
Then taking the mentor to know your mistakes and correct it, and reach a stage where it becomes a part of you.
Yes, sir.
So for the habit building process, it will have to take its certain time, and you giving that preparation like a habit, but not making it your whole life, rather having a thing outside that will make your journey more sustainable. Right?
Yes, sir. It will make it more sustainable, more simpler, more enjoyable also, I think.
Absolutely.
This is what changed in my third attempt.
Wonderful.
That was missing in the second attempt and first attempt to a large extent. But third attempt, all this just helped me feel more confident in life and confident in attempting this, like this exam. So definitely, sir.
That's a wonderful thing. And one more thing, Tejasvi, it's a long journey that you went through, correct? Consistency is a key here.
Yes,
correct?
sir.
Were you able to be consistent, or you had your challenges there? What happened? How did you tackle that?
So I think ups and downs were there. UPSC is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Understanding that is the first step. Secondly, every day is not as if you're going to run a 10-kilometer. Sometimes it will be 5, sometimes it will be 8. What I mean is, every day is not going to be perfect. You will have to work more on certain days, and sometimes you will match all your targets, you will meet all of them. So just doing the bare minimum, I think, every single day, that will really help a lot in this exam process. Like read the newspaper, be aware about everything, be aware about the current happenings in the world, in India, in your district. And secondly, also just ensuring that, okay, fine, today I will revise a static subject or a part of the static subject, and eventually building upon that. And then third aspect of skill, I'll solve 5 MCQs or write 5 answers. I think as long as we do this much on a daily basis for a year, it can really create wonders.
Absolutely. Students, it's all about being consistent in the journey, thinking that you are already an officer. If you are on the duty, how would you do? The same way during your preparation, when you take this as an officer duty that has to be done over a period, you build those qualities to be able to crack the exam. And finally, Tejasvi, we met in our workshop. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So, it was a 3-day workshop. We met for the first time, and then you took our skill mentorship to go forward.
Sir.
Could you please tell our audience what really caught your attention in the workshop, and could you please share with them why they should be a part of the workshop if they get a chance to?
Yes, sir. So I think I remember the workshop happened in November 2023. And one of the points that you made was about manifestation and about believing that, yes, you can do it. And also inculcating officer-like qualities in your everyday behavior. I think that is something which resonated a lot with me, along with the different preparation strategies that you shared for prelims especially. So that was the highlight of that workshop, and I took the step of joining it. So
thank you so much. Sir. It was a pleasure having a conversation with you, Tejasvi.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for making it here, sparing your time, and adding value to our students through your experience. It was a beautiful news when I heard that you got All India rank 99.
Yes, sir.
And I wish you all the best. Stay grounded, Stay
Yes, sir.
present.
Yes.
And I wish you do the best for our country.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, audience, for being a part of this. I hope this podcast helped you all.
National IAS Academy, brought to you by MindLogics.